Hi everyone, we're going to be looking at the Times front page in today's lesson. So before we do, let's have a look, just remind ourselves that the masthead, of course, is an integral part of the front page. And there it is. Now, this actual masthead has only been the masthead of the Times since about 2006. Okay, but the Times is a very old newspaper. It goes back to 1785. You can see up there when it was the Daily Universal Register, which was its first incarnation. There's still quite a lot of the elements of that masthead that are still evident in the modern masthead. So, for example, the use of the font on the Daily, we've got the coat of arms in the middle. So it's still remaining true. It's very much a sort of a tweak of that, apart from obviously the name change. Now, if we have a look at some of the details on this masthead, you can see that first of all, the most striking thing is the use of the Times New Roman font. Now, the Times New Roman font is actually named after the Times newspaper, so that's quite an accolade to have a font named after you. But the reason why this font was chosen is because it's got links to the kind of the classical world. You know, you could almost imagine this masthead to be carved out of stone. It's got that solidity, that reliability about it. And you can see there this Roman tablet that I've chosen to sort of demonstrate where that font originates from. It is, of course, a serif font. You can see the little flicky bits, or serifs. And that, again, has connotations here. We've got connotations being established, authoritative, knowledgeable, cultural, and, of course, these links to the ancient world. You know, the Romans really did, and the Greeks really did establish a lot of the ideas that the Times is going to be talking about: government, politics, democracy, you know, all of these kind of weighty issues. And if you have a look at the serif font they've used here, you know, you wouldn't be out of place on the front of an encyclopedia. Now, in the centre, we've got this rather striking logo. Well, it's more of a coat of arms than a logo, but for the purposes of media studies, let's call it a coat of arms. Now, you will notice that on the coat of arms, as well as the lion and the unicorn and the crown, these are old heraldic symbols, we have a slogan here which says Dieu est mon droit. And around here it says Honi soit qui mal y pense. Now, these are old French terms. Dieu est mon droit means God and my right. And this is actually the whole thing together is the royal coat of arms. Now, again, we've got links to the establishment here. This is very much the voice of establishment Britain. You know, we've got the ideas of Her Majesty the Queen, the government, matters of state. You might have seen this on official documents, in fact. Like, for example, there's a British passport there, and you can see it's the same coat of arms. It's a slightly different take on it, but it's that same lion and unicorn, crown, honi soit qui mal y pense, and Dieu est mon droit. So, moving on to the let's move my face. There we go. Moving on to the slogan there, Britain's most trusted national newspaper. This links in very, very well with this this motto around the coat of arms here. That's actually, it means shame upon he who thinks evil on it. So basically, you sort of don't think bad things or bad stuff will happen to you. But that's the motto of the Order of the Knights of the Garter. Now, obviously, knights, these are people who are honoured by the Queen. Again, that link to the establishment. But knights are supposed to be honourable and truthful. And they have a strong moral code. So again, it's the Times representing itself as being this kind of this arbiter of moral truth and what is right. And you can see that that's reinforced by the slogan there: Britain's most trusted national newspaper. Okay. Now, the verbal code here, of course, the newspaper, we've got to remember, is called The Times. Now, if you break that down, we've got the, which is a definite article, so it means it's unique, it's original. And then we've got Times, which, of course, is the news. You know, it's stuff that's happening at the moment, the Times. Now, it's interesting as well that it's a plural, so it's not just the time that we're living in now, it's the Times. So it's the way that sort of, you know, the things that are happening now are influenced by history and are going to be going on to be the next it's going to be the history of the future. What's happening in the world today is what children are going to be studying in their GCSE courses for GCSE history. We've got all of the usual information that you'd expect to find on here as well. We've got the price here. You'll notice that it's cheaper if you subscribe. So if you go on the internet and you buy and you pay up front for the Times newspaper to be delivered to your door, it'll cost you £1.10 an issue. If you just nip into a newsagent and buy it, it's £1.80. So again, that's a business model that they've chosen, which is quite successful. Also, the times.co.uk. We've got a very small link there. It's not really prominent underneath the interesting juxtaposition of the old and the new there. And we've got the date. So we're driving traffic through our website as well. Now, the Times website, you also have to pay for. So, it's another way that they generate revenue. It's another way that they make money. Okay, so that is very much what the whole sort of the Times, the way that it establishes itself. Now, what I would like you to do, please, is I would like you to have a go at doing an analysis, just like the one that I've just done on the on the Times. But I'd like you to take a look at this masthead here. Now, this masthead is the masthead for the Daily Mirror, the other newspaper, CSP. I would like you, please, to have a go. Now, I've designed a worksheet for you here. So analyse the masthead of the Daily Mirror. And I've put boxes here so you type your answers in. Hopefully they make a bit more sense than that. What information is given in the masthead? So things like, for example, the price. Try and be specific, please. Okay, I'm going to ask you to pause the video whilst you complete that, and then I'd like you to carry on watching. Okay, so I'm just going to sit here and wait while you do that. Okay, so assuming that you've now done that, hopefully you've submitted your work. I'll take a look at it whilst you're looking at the next bit of the video, and I'll get back to you with some feedback. Okay, let's have a look at the front page of the Times. Now, here it is. You can see that, again, it's arranged using this grid system. It's not exactly the rule of thirds here, but things are very much divided into this very organised kind of pattern. Now, we've got to think about who our Times reader is. Now, this was from the Guardian newspaper. They created these very interesting infographics about who reads the Times. This is what the Times reader looks like. You'll notice that he's male, he's wearing a suit, and his favourite dishes apparently are tarte au citron, baklava and pomme lyonnaise. So quite sort of well-heeled, probably works in the city, probably works in business or finance, earns a lot of money, A or B social class, and probably votes Conservative, which fits in with the ethos of the Times. Now, when we have a look at the reason that the stories on the front have been selected, we need to bear in mind who they've been selected for, why they think this person here is going to be interested, because it always helps if you've got one person in mind when you're writing something. So I think that the eye is drawn to this splash headline here: fee-paying schools save the taxpayer £20 billion. So we're going to take a look at that specifically first of all. So this is our splash headline. This is very much our key signifier, because this headline, fee-paying schools save the taxpayer £20 billion. So that is going to frame our understanding of the whole rest of the article when we go in to read a bit more detail. But a good headline should really encapsulate what the story is all about. Now, you can usually use the 5 W's to break down a story and to find out what it's about. This is the same for any information text, whether it's a magazine, whether it's a newspaper. Really, you can find out who, what, where, when, and why this story is happening. So when we think about who, this story is about fee-paying schools. Now, you could argue it's about the taxpayer, but this is a quote: save the taxpayer £20 billion. So it's really about the fee-paying schools and what they're saying. So that's how the audience is positioned here, very much listening to what these head teachers of the independent schools are saying. Now, what are they doing? Well, they're saving the taxpayer money, which is, good. This is even if you don't send your children to fee-paying schools, as the ABs who read the Times are more likely to than perhaps the C2DEs who read the Daily Mirror, then this is something that is going to benefit you because we all pay taxes. Whereabouts are happening? Well, that's implicit. It's in the UK. And when? Well, 20 billion, I presume that's every year. They're not just going to save you 20 billion and then go off. But why? Well, that's not really explained here. So we've got a bit of an enigma code which is being presented by this splash headline, and it really encourages us to read on. Now, we do have a strapline afterwards which does help us to understand and contextualise this story in a bit more detail. So, for example, independent heads hit back against the VAT threat. Okay, so now we've got our why. So why? They're saying, hang on a minute, don't tax us. We save the taxpayer £20 billion. Now, presumably, that's because by people sending their children to independent schools and paying for that, that means that the government doesn't have to pay for them to go to state schools. Now, independent schools are also they're charities, so they enjoy charitable status as education providers, which means that they don't have to pay tax. So let's have a look at this story in a bit more detail. So why this story? Well, how does it appeal? How is this? Because you've got to remember, the reason that this is here is to encourage people to buy the paper. So it's got to interest the target audience. Well, first of all, we've got our news values. Now, news values we looked at in a previous lesson. If you can't remember them, do go and remind yourself, please. Now, the first thing is unexpectedness. You know, fee-paying schools save the taxpayer £20 billion. That's a really unusual argument for the place of independent schools. Yeah, it's unexpected, it's unusual. There's conflict here. Now, if you read the story, where is it down here? This 1, 2, 3, 4. It's down in the 5th paragraph here. Labour has vowed to add VAT to private school fees to pay for free school meals for state primary students. So the Labour Party are saying, well, we'd like to get elected, and when we get elected, we're going to put taxes on school fees, and we're going to use those taxes to pay for underprivileged children, so they can have free school meals. They're saying, well, actually, we already, by taking all of these children off your hands, we're already saving you 20 billion, so put that towards the free school meals. Now, this is currency; it's a public concern. If you are a Times reader, you're probably more likely to be sending your children to an independent school. Whereas if you, but like I say, everybody pays taxes. So we've got that impact as well as currency of it being a public concern. Now let's think about readership. AB readers more likely to send their kids to public school. By public school, I need to clarify that I mean fee-paying school. For some reason, independent schools are called public schools, and private schools and independent schools. They're all the same thing. So the schools that most people go to refer to as state schools. AB readers are more likely to send their children to these fee-paying public schools. And this provides them with a moral argument to defend their choice. If you think back about our reader profile that we looked at on the previous slide, then then there are links here to finance and government and taxation. So, you know, the people who exist in those worlds are going to be interested in reading about them as well as their own personal take on it. And of course, there's a bit of bias here. Now, the Times is a right-wing, conservative supporting newspaper. And so here, this story is really all about reasons why you shouldn't be voting for the Labour Party. The Conservative government tend to champion what's called free market. So basically, if you pay your money, you take your choice. You know, they think that taxes should be kept low so that people have more money in their pockets to be able to pay for the things that they need. Whereas the Labour Party, the left wing, believe more that the government should collect lots of taxes and then use all of these taxes to pay for public services that benefits everybody. So they're two very opposite schools of thought. So we've got that conflict going on between these two ideas in this article as well. Now, We've also got the banner advertisement, or this kind of pug, I guess you could call it, on the top here. And this is a different kind of angle for appealing to the Times readership. Now you can see here we've got this bricks and mortar. We've got an extra magazine actually going on, which is included within this. This is what you get for your £1.80 or £1.10 if you're a subscriber. 16-page property pullout. Now, this is only going to be interesting people who own property and have the option and the wealth to be able to sort of make rooms that look like this one that's demonstrated on the front cover here. So, if you're renting a bedsit in the inner city suburbs, you're unlikely to be as interested in reading about how to create a restful haven and remodel your bedroom because you can't. So this is aimed at the very affluent, aspirational people who've got a fair bit of cash and like to sort of live well and perhaps want to improve their property even more. But this is interesting over here. Know Your Thor from Iron Man. I mean, do you suppose that maybe they're a bit less well informed about popular culture? So there's the this is actually in the Times too. Now Times 2 is it's called a supplement. It's a features magazine, which is all about things like, for example, art, music, food and drink, culture, health, lifestyle, fashion. Here, I guess we've got a culture story. The Marvel studios have been absolutely huge, and they're basically sort of informing the Times reader here about sort of what's going on in that world. And this is probably a little bit of product placement from Disney, who you'll be studying with Doctor Strange, because what they're doing here is they're using this as kind of advertorial. So it's like a cross between an advertisement and an editorial. And it's a good way of promoting the Marvel universe to a highly affluent and wealthy group of people, and might get a few of them hooked and they go out and buy loads of merch. Okay. So this is the Times 2 website. You can see here that they have 1.13 million readers a day across all platforms, print and digital. 67% of readers are AB social group. Okay, so they're quite high earning. Their average income is £46,500 a year. Okay, so not bad at all. Okay, now, what I would like you to do then, please, is I would like you to have a go at doing the same sort of analysis for the other stories on the front page. Now, this is the story that I'd like you to focus on. So, calls for criminal inquiry as top ministers deny security leak. Okay, so we've got who, what, where, when, why. I'd like you to fill that in, please. Try and be as specific as you can, please, but only based on the headline. And then when you've done that, I'd like you to move to the stand first, which is the name for the first paragraph in a newspaper story. Jeremy Hunt led a chorus of denials from senior ministers last night that they were responsible for the first known leak from Britain's top national security body. So again, what new information do we get in the stand first? I'd like you to type your ideas in here, please. Be specific. I would like you to read the rest of the article, please. Because there are further tasks that I'd like you to have a go at on the sheet. So if we have a look here, you'll see that I've typed out because it's quite hard to read on the CSP. And see if you can answer the questions in the boxes here, please. Now, if you do get stuck, you think, oh, crikey, I can't remember my news values, then you can click on these links, and that opens the BBC Bite Size page, which is all about newspapers, and we've got a range of news values here. They're using slightly different language to the ones that I taught you in the previous lesson, but they're the same sorts of ideas. So do please make reference to these. Again, Times target audience. If you've forgotten about target audiences, then there's a really good summary here. Here we've got the ABC ones. So you can see, for example, category A is going to be a doctor, banker, lawyer. These are people who are earning the most money, very highly skilled. Middle class teachers, architects, computer programmers. Oh, I'm a B. So middle class. Okay, so there's loads of help sheets there, and please, 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 don't forget to submit your work when you're done. Okay, guys, well, I hope that's useful. I look forward to seeing your work. Any questions? Again, as usual, drop them on the class stream, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Good luck, everyone.